Hey viewers, my name's Kara. I'm your host for Tuesdays here on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we are talking about collecting things, or having collections of things. I thought that the way this was worded was very interesting, so I'll tell you what I mean, but first I'm going to read it to you. This week's topic will be in the description of the video, as always, so you can read it yourself too. And this week's topic comes from Diana, who wrote, I have a question about pagan collections, or more specific, things that pagans are or could be interested in collecting. The other day I met someone who has a large collection of crystals, divination tools such as tarot, oracle decks, runes, etc., pagan books from specific authors and all the editions, paintings, and crafts. This person told me she has collected specific items for years now and has them on display and collects them because she wants to have a collection of items she relates to her craft/path. I was just wondering, do you guys also have some sort of collection related to paganism/pagan interest, or do you see these things as just a way to help you in your daily pagan practice? So, this made me think about the way that I use the word collection in my day-to-day life, because I realized that I use the word collection when I mean that I have a lot of something. And I mean that I have multiple of a certain type of thing, that I don't want to use the word collected because I'm trying to define what I mean by that word, that I have accumulated, there we go, that I have accumulated over time, and now they are together in one place. I have them, but what I mean is that I have a lot of them, as opposed to a collection that is a purposeful collecting of a thing because you want to have a collection. So this has made me think back to things that throughout my life I have collected, that I have wanted a collection of, and when someone says a collection, what I think of. And so I wrote down, I have a list here of, I have 3 categories actually. Things that I have a lot of, things that I collect, and things that I used to collect. So yeah, this brought up a lot of like, what does the word collection mean to me, and what does collecting mean to me? Because I overthink everything. So no. So I thought this was really interesting. Thank you, Diana, for wording it that way. So the question is, do we have things that we collect that are related to our pagan path that we have as a collection because they're part of our path? Or do we just have things that we use in our daily practice and we just have them? So, things that I have a lot of. Actually, maybe first I should say, when I think of a collection, or when I think about collecting something, I mostly think of, you know, like they mentioned with the books that this person was collecting, like collector's editions, and things that have like a limited number, and things that tell you, collect them all. Like there's 4 different types of this, or there's 6 different types of this, collect them all. And, you know, there was originally 150 Pokemon, collect them all. And so that's what I think of, and that's not necessarily all that it is. So, now, things that I have a lot of. I definitely have a lot of crystals. And I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more actually on a video that I have ready to come up on my personal channel, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, that I'm talking about things, having witchy things and witchy stuff, and I definitely spend a good portion of that talking about crystals and why I have so many. So I have a lot of crystals, I definitely do. Most of the ones I have were given to me, but that doesn't mean that they're not a collection just based on that. However, I don't think that the accumulation of things that I have, of crystals that I have, although I might call them a collection, because as I said, looking at the way that I use that word in a day-to-day sense, I might say that I have a collection of crystals, but I don't typically say I collect crystals, because I'm not just trying to obtain a bunch of different types of crystals. Or like trying to have certain different types of it, you know, like you might have, okay, like I have a lot of amethyst. I think everybody who has crystals has a lot of amethyst. And so you might have like each type of crystal. You might have like amethyst, rose quartz, smoky quartz. Let's just use that as an example. So you might have, that's a collection in and of itself. You have 3 different types of crystals. Okay, cool. That's the beginning of your collection of crystals. But then you might have a tumbled version, a raw version, and a cluster of those. Or you might have a point and a tumbled polished stone and a piece of jewelry that has that item and a cluster or whatever. So you might have that same crystal in multiple forms, and so the collection ability expands there. So it's not just have these different types of crystals or have different types of crystals in general, but then it's have specific types, right? So some people who collect certain book series, you might have the entire collection in paperback and the entire collection in hardcover. So then it's that kind of thing. And then you might have the collector's editions and stuff like that. So I have a lot of crystals, but I don't feel like I collect crystals, so to speak. I have a lot of them. I use them in my daily practice. They are definitely something that I think help me. I learn about them as I get them most of the time. If somebody gifts me a stone or a crystal that I have not ever had before and I've never worked with it before, but somebody gives it to me, then I'm like, okay, now I have this. So then I go and do my research about it and learn about it, and then I might start using it. So yeah, that's how I see that. The next thing on the list, so all of this is going to be basically that same idea of what I just said. These are things I have a lot of that I don't feel like I necessarily collect in these terms that we're talking about. I have a lot of tarot and oracle decks. I have been expanding my collection of them. So like I do call it a collection. I've been expanding the amount of them that I have, especially over the past year or 2 years as I've started actually doing more with reading them. But I'm trying to not just have a lot of decks lying around that I don't use. So like when I say I have a lot, I mean that I have maybe 10, which people who collect tarot and oracle card decks like just snorted when I said that, because to them a lot is like you have 500, you know, like there's a ton of tarot and oracle decks out there, and I'm just basically starting to have a collection of them in that I have a number. And I don't feel that they're really something that I'm collecting specifically. Like I don't go out just like, ooh, I want to have all the tarot decks, or I want to have all the decks illustrated by this person, or I want to have all the decks that are fairy themed or anything like that. I just get ones as they call to me or as they're given to me, and then I work with them. And then, like I said, I try not to have a lot of them that I'm not using. So if I find that after a while I'm not really resonating with some, I want to pass those on to someone else instead of keeping them. I have a lot of witchy hats, conical hats, the pointy ones. You can't see what I'm doing. I call that a collection because I have like 4 or 5 of them, and it's not necessary to have even one, let alone more than one. So I refer to it as a collection because of that. But I feel like it's also, they're not something that I'm specifically collecting because, I don't know, I feel like if I were really trying to have a collection of witchy hats, then, you know, like when you go to the Halloween store, and at least around here, and they have like witchy costume hats, and they have them like in adult size and kid size. They usually have ones that are decorated with purple and then there's the exact same thing, but in green, and then in orange. Like there's always a purple, a green, and an orange version of whatever the witchy hat style is. I feel like if I were collecting them, then I would have one of each of those things, right? That's how I feel. And I don't do that. So I just have like ones that really speak to me or that I think are really interesting or different than what I've seen before, and then I'd add it to my collection. So yeah, like I call them a collection, but I don't think I collect them, but maybe I do. So with this one, I put an arrow over into the other column with a question mark, like, do I collect this? Like, is that a thing that I collect now? I have a lot of herbs, mostly because my mom gave me a lot of them, but they're something that I use. They're not something that I'm just trying to collect all the different types of herbs. I just have a lot of them. Tea. I have a large collection of tea, but I don't collect tea. Does this make sense? Is this just me? I have a lot of books about witchcraft and paganism, but I'm not collecting any of them specifically. You know, this would be like, if there's an author that I love and I'm trying to collect all of their books, that would make sense to me, but that's not something that I currently do. Like, I'm not setting out to get one of every book that Scott Cunningham ever published, or one of every Starhawk book ever published. I have quite a few Scott Cunningham books. I have a couple of Starhawks books, and I want to read all of the things that they have done because I like their work, but I'm not currently collecting them. I have a lot of socks. I have a lot of tights and leggings and stuff like that. I like to just call it leg decoration. I have leg warmers, socks, tights, stuff like that. But I don't think I collect them. I like to joke and say that I have a sock collection, or I have a collection of leg decoration. Perhaps this is something that could go into the things I used to collect column, because I used to do a lot more active accumulating of those types of items, but now I don't as much. But I still have a lot of them, and I wear them. I have a lot of candles, but I don't collect candles. And I have a lot of mugs, but like coffee mugs or like tea. But contrary to popular belief, I do not collect them. I just have a lot of them, and if I find cool ones, then I get them, especially if they're at the thrift store and they're like $1/4 a piece, like 25 cents or 50 cents a piece or something. I'm very likely to get them. But it's not because I collect mugs. It's just because they're cool. I don't know. So things that I do collect, none of the stuff on this list is related to my pagan practice really at all, except that I think and the two of these I put question marks next to, because I was like, is this a collection? Is this something that I actively collect, that I'm just kind of in denial about the fact that I actively collect? Or like, what is this? I don't know what qualifies. So like, there's a question mark next to Halloween stuff. Do I collect Halloween stuff? I have a lot of Halloween stuff. I love Halloween stuff. Do I collect it? Is it an active collection? I do like to keep them on display. I like to have Halloween stuff all over my house. So maybe it's a collection? I don't know. I mean, do we say that we collect clothing? Like maybe you collect items from your favorite clothing line. So I guess you can have a collection of stuff that you wear, but like, you know, Halloween stuff, I just like get Halloween themed household items so that I want all of my things to be Halloween, but I don't think of it as collecting it. I guess I do though. Let me know in the comments if you think I collect Halloween stuff. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. The other thing that I put a question mark next to is theater tickets and playbills. I don't know if it counts as collecting them, because I'm not just like, ooh, I'm gonna go see this show so that I can get the ticket to put in my book. But I love theater, and I go to see theater a lot, and I do save the tickets, and my friend bought me an album to put them in. So I do have the ability to display them. I keep them in an album. It's on a bookshelf, and you can get it out and look through the tickets of the shows that I've seen. So I think that counts as a collection. So I put that under things I collect with a question mark. And I also keep the playbills, the program from when you go to see the show, shows that I've been in or shows that I've gone to see either on Broadway or other local regional theaters or community theaters and stuff like that. So I guess I collect my theater tickets in a way. Like some people collect their movie tickets in the same way. Things that I definitely do have an active collection though, I think, according to like what I think the definition of that is as far as this topic goes, John Green books. I'm not collecting Scott Cunningham books, but I do collect John Green books in that I want to own a copy of every book that John Green has ever written and published. And I have a lot of them. I don't have all of them yet, but some of the ones that I do have, I actually do already have multiple copies of, but that's only because there are some people who know that I like John Green and want it, you know, at my birthday or like gift-giving holidays like Christmas in the States, winter solstice for me. People want to give me a gift and they know I like John Green. So they go out and buy a John Green book for me, not realizing that I already have the book because, hello, I love this author. Of course, I already have the book. But so they would go out and buy me another copy of it. And so sometimes they would get me like a collector's edition, and they didn't mean to necessarily get me that edition because they knew I didn't have that edition. It was just like they were picking up a book off the shelf and that's what it happened to be that people were selling at the bookstore. So I think looking for Alaska, I have a paperback copy, and then I have a hardcover collector's edition that was given to me as a gift. And then with The Fault in Our Stars, I had ordered a signed copy, and someone also bought me the collector's edition. They're both hardcovers. So I have multiple of those two, and then I have like a paperback copy of Paper Towns. I have a hardcover of An Abundance of Catherines because that's what I found at the half-price bookstore at the time. I do not own a copy of Will Grayson, Will Grayson. I do not own a copy of Turtles All the Way Down, but I did read that because I checked it out from the local library. And I don't have a copy of Let It Snow, which was something that he worked on with 2 other authors. I'm not as concerned about getting that one, but I want to have like all of his novels. But I'm not interested in having like a paperback and a hardcover and a collector's edition and like every other special edition that comes out. I just want to have one copy of each of them. So it's a little bit of a modest collection that I'm going for. But that is something that I actively collect, I guess. And teapots. I collect teapots. I have 12 or 13 right now, I think. Maybe 15-ish if you include the little like tea for one that's a miniature teapot that comes on top of a rather large, really, mug, and they stack on top of each other. I don't know. I just put them out on a shelf. You would think that I would remember how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't remember, and I just recently got another one. But I like getting teapots from secondhand stores, thrift stores, stuff like that, so I get them pretty inexpensively. I only have 2 that are actually from antique stores that cost probably a pretty penny, and then I have 2 that were slightly damaged at the tea parlor where I used to work, and so they were not suitable for service anymore, but they were still perfectly fine, so the owners gave them to me, and that's kind of what started my collection of teapots. So I do still actively collect teapots. I add new ones pretty regularly, but it's usually like, I don't collect a specific brand of them or a specific country of origin or a specific style or anything. It's all just like things that I like for one reason or another. So I have to really like it. I'm not just, like last time I was at the thrift store, there was a big one that was like blue, but it was plain. And there was a small one that was like bright orange, plain. I was like, nah, no, I don't really need to add those to my collection. If I were really like into just having a ton of them, I would have grabbed all of those. because it's really hard to find teapots that still have the lids on them at a lot of places that you go to. So, autofocus. Here we go. Yeah. So that brings me to things I used to collect, which I'll go quickly through these because I spend a long time on the others. I used to collect when I was a kid. Me and my brother would collect bouncy balls. They were in like one of those little gumball machines at a pizza place that we used to go to a lot. And so every time we went there, we would bring quarters and get bouncy balls. And at one point, I had a basket that was like this full. You can't even see. This full, a heart-shaped basket full of bouncy balls. And like, why did we need those? It was just something that we collected, that we liked to have a lot of, and they were different, and they were different colors, and some were sparkly, and some were neon, and some would glow, and some just had like really funky patterns on them, and we would trade them with each other if there were certain ones that one of us really liked and the other didn't, and stuff like that. But I don't collect those anymore, and I don't have that collection anymore. When I eventually got rid of it, I kept a few of them. I had a small, like, plastic container that used to be, it was the case that a bottle of perfume that I used to have came in, and so I picked however many of my favorite bouncy balls could fit in this little plastic, like, display thing, and that's how many I kept, and I got rid of the rest of them. I might still have them somewhere. I don't know where they are, but yeah. I also used to collect mushroom-themed kitchenware because I actually have a set of canisters, like kitchen canisters, the ones that are meant for like flour, sugar, salt, or coffee, tea, you know, whatever. There's like big ones and then they go down in size. I have a whole set of those that's actually like a set of 5 canisters, a napkin holder, salt and pepper shaker. I have a creamer, like pitcher thing, whole bunch of things that are this like Merry Mushrooms, I think was the name of the collection. I got it from one of my mom's friends and I just freaking loved it. And anytime I would go to a secondhand store or an antique store or anything like that, and I would see another piece that was that collection, that style, I'd be like, oh, I have to have that because it goes with the collection. I am no longer actively adding to that collection, but I still have it. So I put it in things I used to collect because I'm not actively adding to it anymore. Theater masks are something that I used to collect, and I still have my collection of them. Most of them are things that my mom found on her antique store travels or garage sale travels and sent to me. I still have them, although they're all at my grandma's house. I don't actually have them where I am, but I am not any longer actively adding to that collection. Care Bears. I used to collect Care Bear, like stuffed animals. Well, Care Bear things. When I was younger, I collected all things Care Bear, honestly. And I still have some of them. But in more recent years, like even into my early 20s, like in college, I was still collecting like plush Care Bears, but only the original Care Bears from the original series that I actually watched as a kid. Because in recent years, they've added, there's like new generations of Care Bears that have come out. I'm not collecting those. Those have nothing to do with me. I love the new My Little Pony, but I don't really collect any of that stuff either, but I used to collect original Care Bears, and I still have those. I still have several of the plushies. They're newer plushies that have come out in newer years, but they are the original Care Bears that existed in the original show. So yeah, I still have those. And then the other thing that I used to collect that I no longer even have the collection of is horse figurines. They were like little... there were toys, essentially, like you could play with them. They were just like plastic, but there were all different breeds of horses, and there was usually an adult horse and a baby. And so you could collect, I think you got them like in a set and you would get the adult and the baby in one. But it was the kind of thing where on the back of the box, you would turn it over and it would show you all of the different ones that you could collect. So that was very much a collect them all kind of collection. And you could also say that like in the past, my mom and I collected they're like tarot cards, but not tarot, but they were like fortune-telling cards that were like, you would get them in a pack at the store. You'd go to the store and you get like a few of them in a pack, and then it was kind of like trading cards in general, but they were like divination. They were like divination cards, and you knew that there were so many in a set, and you would just keep going and buying packs until you had a full deck. And so we kept buying them until we had so many extras because we were looking for one card left. It was so hard to find this one card, which actually happened to be a unicorn, because it was just that rare that it was a unicorn, literally a unicorn. That's so funny. But yeah, that was the last card. So we had all these multiples, and then we finally got a unicorn, and we were like, that's it. We're done. We're not getting any more. So we had one complete deck and multiple other almost complete decks except for this unicorn card. And I still have those cards. So yeah, stuff that I used to collect. And my mom collects souvenir spoons. Like when you travel places and you go to the souvenir shop, there's usually a spoon that has some kind of decorative thing for that location on the handle. My mom collects those, and she's been collecting those my whole life. So now when I travel, I pick up spoons for her collection whenever I go places. It was originally just supposed to be places that she had been, but once people knew she collected them, people started buying them for her when they went on trips. So by the time I was old enough to actually start going on trips myself, it was already an established thing that it was just wherever people went and brought mom stuff from. So I brought her spoons when I went to New York City and a couple different places that I went in England when I was there. England and Wales. So yeah, collections. That's the stuff that I used to collect, and that what I currently collect, and stuff that I have a lot of that I don't think counts as collecting it, but I definitely have a large collection of it. So let us know in the comments what you think collecting entails, and whether or not you think I collect Halloween stuff. I probably do. I probably do. I mean, look at this. What am I doing? It's probably a collection. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, and if there's anything you collect that's related to your practice, your spiritual practice, let us know. Or if you think they're just things that help you out in your daily practice, because that's kind of essentially what it is for me. As you can see, the things that I actively collect aren't really things related to my practice. Although I do have a lot of things related to my practice, I don't consider them things that I'm actively collecting or trying to amass a collection of. It's really interesting, the way we use words. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you next week. And until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.